YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. We got score predictions for every single NFL game here in Week 5. We got this video every Wednesday afternoon. Straight up picks with the other members of the Goat House goes up every Tuesday night, so that's already up for Week 5. Power rankings already up, and there's a lot more going on here, always adding more, so join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Excited about Week 5. Things start to kind of go to normal. Teams show their true identity. It's easier to project the rest of the season, figure out what teams are about. So that's why I'm excited for this week and on here. Excited to break this down. Important links pinned in the comments if you're trying to join any of our picks leagues. It's not too late if you're joining our Super Picks League. I'm rocking the Bills chain from the GLD shop, our sponsor for this season. We have a code GOAT for 33% off. They got some cool stuff there. NFL players rock their stuff, so there's a link pinned in the comments for that as well. Very important to follow our Twitter. Super followers get a bunch of bonus content, more info in that link down below there, so check it out. Thursday night football. I think it's going to be a defensive game here. The Broncos are favored by 3. I have them winning by 3, so I think it's just because of the injuries. I mean, look at Jonathan Taylor, Shaq Leonard for the Colts. The Broncos lose their running back as well, but a little bit different. Javonte Williams will be out for the season. And they have a few guys on the injury report here and there. Randy Gregory, who's been playing very well, is going to miss some time as well. So that's big time. So I think I think both these offenses struggling a little bit. And I think both defenses are pretty solid despite both of them not looking that great last week. The big difference here is the Broncos are at home. The altitude definitely playing a factor in Denver. I think they win in a defensive game. This is in Indianapolis. I'd probably pick the Colts. Missing Jonathan Taylor is pretty tough, though. But I'm feeling the Broncos at home. Not expecting a lot of offense. I got them winning by 3 here. Probably some turnovers. That's a big thing, too, though. Who do I trust to take care of the ball a little bit more? I'd say Broncos, and I think Melvin Gordon. I'm like, not so fast, but I still think the Broncos could take care of the ball a little bit more. The Colts are a little more, will have a little more fumble or and interception. Combine the two, interception, fumble moments, the possibility of those. So I'll take the Broncos by 3 here in this one. London game, Packers-Giants. I'm going to go Packers 26-16. The Giants, a little beat up at quarterback. It sounds like Daniel Jones is going to go. I mean, he's going to have to. He's going to have to go to London and play injured, though. Packers got a pretty solid defense. The Patriots did run on them pretty well last week. The Giants have a very good running game, led by Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. But, again, he is a little beat up. So they could get going on the ground. It could roll a lot of clock. I just don't expect the Giants to score a whole lot of points in this one. Again, clock's going to be coming off. So I'm going to go Packers. Aaron Rodgers, I think, gets the job done offensively there, and they'll get enough points on the board. I think they'll move the ball pretty well. I could see the Giants' red zone defense kind of clutching up, forcing field goals, but still, I don't think the Giants' offense does enough. I think they'll run the ball all right, but it's going to have to go absolutely crazy. So I'll take the Packers 26-16. They're favored by 8. I got them winning by 10. This is a pretty big line there. The Giants, they have the same record. Giants have been playing some pretty good football. Steelers and Bills, that's a big spread there. 14 points the Bills are favored by. I got them winning by 17. Just a really bad matchup for the Steelers for Kenny Pickett's first start against that Bills defense. They run a lot of zone coverage, which really the reason teams run zone is to kind of throw off the quarterback, pre-snap. You're a little less likely to figure out what coverage they're in because it's pretty easy for guys to figure out if they're in man right away. So that makes it even more difficult for a young quarterback, Kenny Pickett. So I don't expect them to get much offense going there, and they really haven't been anyways. And now you're playing the Bills defense, and I think the Bills, Steelers still got, even without T.J. Watt, still got a solid defense. But I think the Bills will do just enough. They'll probably have the ball for a lot of clock, really, because the Steelers will probably be going 3 and out or 6 and out here and there, or quite a bit. So I'll go Bills 27-10 here in this one. Tough matchup for the Steelers. Chargers-Browns is a really good one. This game could go either way. Chargers are favored by 3. I got them winning by 3. So that one is tricky. I can argue either side here. The Browns have a very, very strong running game. The Chargers struggle a little bit to stop the run. They were statistically a lot worse last year. We're only getting started this year, though. But I really do think you can really run the ball on them. And we're talking about Nick Chubb and company, Kareem Hunt, these guys with the Browns. So I do think the Browns will be pretty damn effective on the ground. But they're gonna have to, make that extra play through the air, and also stop Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense. And I'm not really trusting them to do that. The Browns haven't really played anybody as talented as the Chargers quite yet, so this is going to be a challenge. Their defense has been a little underwhelming. They will get Myles Garrett back this week, but I'm just going to trust Herbert over Brissett, Chargers offense over the Browns. But if the Browns, like example, start with the ball, or scenario, they start with the ball and they just pound the ball, run the clock, go and score, it's already tough for the Chargers. The Chargers start and score, maybe get up by 2 scores. It's going to be tough for the Browns to really focus on that run game and pound the ball because they're going to run too much clock. And then you factor in last week, the Browns were very effective running the ball against the Falcons, but they didn't do it enough. So can I trust the Fancy to do the right thing here as well? So I'm going to go Chargers. Should be a really good game. Honestly, the matchup almost says Browns because their ability to run the football and maybe dominate this game on the ground and with the clock. So I'm going to go Chargers, though, 27-24. Again, just a better team. Will the Browns be able to stop Herbert? I don't think so. Bears-Vikings. I'm going to go Vikings 26-20. I think this is probably the Bears' best opportunity to maybe have their best offensive outing. Not that it's going to be great, but they've played some tough defenses here and there. The Vikings defense, I'm not really thrilled with right now. They do have some ball players on that side of the ball, but they haven't really been playing super great. I think the Bears should be able to run the football on the Vikings, but in the Vikings, which we haven't really seen them get their run game going too much, I think we'll see it this game, kind of the breakout game for their run game. So a lot of running the football between the two teams, and the Vikings win that battle here, and they probably can, they will do just enough, the extra amount in the passing game compared to the Bears as well. I'll take the Vikings at home, 26-20. Again, probably a lot of running clock. Bears are keeping games tight, and this is kind of their best opportunity to kind of have a breakout game offensively here, but we'll take the Vikings by 6. Lions and Patriots is the toughest game to pick maybe on the season, and a lot of it is due to injuries. Mac Jones, obviously the quarterback of the Patriots, big one. And the Lions, you look at DeAndre Swift. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. And some other guys are questionable as well. I think they'll be playing. DJ Chark's another question mark with Swift and St. Brown as well. Back and forth picks video last night. I actually took the Patriots. I'm leaning towards the Lions now. If Mac Jones plays, I'm probably leaning back towards the Patriots. So you can see I'm all over the place with this one. It's a very tough one. But Mac Jones practiced today. They said he had a little bit of a limp still. That's not great. So I'm starting to think maybe he doesn't play. And the Lions guys, some of those guys like Swift, St. Brown may not play either. But just the idea, Hoyer's hurt, of course. The idea of Bailey Zappi, who played all right, pretty impressive against the Packers, but going out there, getting his first start, and potentially having to win in maybe not a shootout, but kind of close because the Lions are going to score. It doesn't really sit well with me. I think, again, the Lions maybe have the worst defense in football. So I think Zappi would be all right, and the Patriots be a reason to pick the Patriots too. I think they can really run the ball on the Lions, and then that running game, which got going, it felt like against the Ravens maybe a little bit, then really got going against the Packers last week. They really can get going this week, so they can kind of control the ground and the clock. So that'd be a reason for the Patriots. It's just the other side of it is, can the Patriots keep up with the Lions? Can they keep up? Because if the Lions can score, the Patriots defense is a little tough compared to the other defenses they played. I'm still not sold on being your typical Bill Belichick defense. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Lions right now. I still think they'll be effective very much on offense. Can the Patriots keep up if they don't have Mac Jones? That is the big question. I think they'll be, again, effective on the ground, but leaning towards Lions right now. This is one to keep an eye out for. I may switch my pick. That I usually say that on Twitter. I make a post on YouTube if I switch my pick with the score as well. Comment on this video, but with that change. But yeah, it's an extremely tough one because of those injuries there. So ones we got to monitor. Seahawks and Saints. I'm gonna take another one with the injuries. I got to watch with the Saints. Jameis Winston. Now it's starting to sound like Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas won't play. Still, but they could get some other guys back. Kamara, Marcus May, perhaps. So we have to monitor some injuries on this one as well. But I like the way the Saints match up with the Seahawks, and this could be their bounce-back game. I think the Saints could have a breakout game offensively. We know the Seahawks defense is young. It's a little on the weaker side. You can get some explosive plays going on them. So then the Saints get going enough on offense, and I trust the Saints defense as well. I know Geno Smith, Rashad Penny, these guys have been tearing it up, but playing the Lions defense last week, now playing the Saints in New Orleans, they're due for a win. I'm going to take the Saints. Got to keep track of these injuries, though. But I'm going to go Saints 24-20. Then they have a really good defensive game. Maybe that surprised some people. I think people were expecting Seahawks to score more just based off last week, perhaps. But yeah, these injuries make it tough this year. There's always injuries. I feel like there's more minor, like questionable injuries, and it's never clear-cut until kind of game day. I mean, we woke up for the London game last Sunday, and Kamara was out. I don't think we expected him to be out on Saturday, when it was Saturday night. So there's a lot of injuries like that this year. It makes these games very difficult to predict. Dolphins and Jets. I'm going to go Dolphins defensive game 23-17. I just don't think the Jets will be super successful offensively dealing with the Dolphins defense. They're going to show a lot of blitz. It's a unique playmaking defense, and it will be tough for a guy like Wilson, who was limited at practice, to deal with. It's always tough for those young quarterbacks to deal with that type of defense there. I think it's built to really throw off those types of quarterbacks, or the quarterbacks that are kind of, are they good? They're trying to figure something out. So I like the Dolphins' defense this one. Xavier Howard, it sounds like Howard is supposed to play. We'll see, though. That is factoring into the score. I still go with the Dolphins if he doesn't, but that is factoring with the low score for the Jets there. But again, I like the way their defense matches up, and they'll do, even though Tua's out, and they'll do just enough offensively there. Maybe more so field goals instead of touchdowns, though. They're favored by 3.5. Next, Falcons and Bucks. I got the Bucks 27-20. The Falcons have been impressive. They're a little bit, they're on a two-game winning streak, and they could have more than 2 wins looking at those first 2 games they lost. Bucks are struggling right now. They don't really, before they looked pretty on defense. Last week they didn't. They haven't really looked pretty on offense. They kind of got it going last week, though. But I don't love the matchup for the Falcons. I think they'll kind of stay in the game. Like maybe the Bucks will kind of get up 2 scores and the Falcons score, kind of back and forth between that. Bucks up 2 scores, Bucks up 1 score, kind of back and forth. The Falcons will kind of keep putting up a fight there, but just won't have enough. They're in Tampa. Tampa's defense will be tough for the Falcons, and their offense should be able to move the ball as well. So I still trust the Bucks on both sides of the ball compared to the Falcons on their, they're both sides of the ball there. So the Bucks 27, Falcons 20. Next game, Titans-Commanders is another one I could see going either way. I'm going to pick the Titans, though. It's tough to roll with the Commanders right now, just because they're not impressive on either side, nowhere near impressive on either side of the ball, while the Titans are kind of starting to get things rolling a little bit, starting to look like the old Titans, last year's Titans maybe a little bit. Not fully there at all, but they're kind of getting there. I think Derrick Henry will be a problem for the Commanders, with trying to tackle him. I do think Wentz and those weapons could get something going downfield in the passing game in this game against the Titans. I could see that. Curtis Samuel should play, but he hasn't been practicing, and then Jahan Dodson's not going to play, obviously, so that's tough as well. I kind of have a specific prediction, but I kind of can see what could happen this game. The Titans are going to start off very strong like they do and like the Commanders don't, and they could get a really good lead, and I could see the Commanders pushing to come back and the end of the game. But with Titans' ability to run the football with Derrick Henry and run the clock, maybe the Commanders won't have enough time to complete that comeback. So I'll take the Titans 27-24. Here in Week 5, it should be a pretty good one, though. I think it's a must-win at this point with the Commanders. Looking like one of the worst teams in football. They're home. The matchup's kind of good for them. Like I said, they could kind of open things up in a passing game in this game. This is the time they have to get going. They have a shot here, but I'm just feeling a little more comfortable with the Titans. Texans and Jags. I'm going to go 24-20 Jags. For some reason, I could see this one being tight. I honestly could see the Texans winning, not that I'll predict it. The Jags defense could be a problem. They can create some turnovers. The Texans always have those explosive plays, though, to kind of get back on the board. But I think the Jags will have just enough on both sides of the ball. I think they'll control kind of the game most of the way. The Texans kind of playing keep up or come back there. So I will take the Jags. Again, trust them a little bit more. They're 2-2. It's still really impressive, though. Still really impressive. I know they a little sloppy at the same time at the end of the last game, after it started raining, really, with the turnovers and Lawrence fumbling the ball, but it's still been overall impressive. So they should get the job done in this one, but I'm going to go 24-20. 49ers and Panthers, very confident with the 49ers in this one. They could have the best defensive football, I think, up there with the Cowboys, perhaps. It's very impressive, and the Panthers could have the worst offense in football, maybe right there with a team like the Bears. So I don't expect the Panthers to score more than 10. I think that I was trying to think, do I have them even scoring a touchdown? I'm like, they may be able to, because they may be at the point where, we got to take shots. and they may be able to. They have the capabilities. What Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore have kind of hitting that bomb or whatever, so they may score a touchdown there, get a field goal. I don't really see more than 10. I think 13 would be the absolute max. Panthers do have a pretty good defense, so I think the 49ers are going to come into this one and pound the football. They're going to run the ball, and they'll be successful running the football, but it's going to drain a lot of clock, and the 49ers should dominate time of possession in this game, and I think 23 will definitely be enough. 23-10 is what I got. The Panthers really can play against the pass, so I don't expect the 49ers to go crazy with the passing game in this one, and their key to winning really is just playing defense, but is to running the football. I think they'll do that, and again, really go for that time of the dominance of the time of possession, which I think they'll do. But I do like that -6.5. They should cover that. They should win by, again, a lot of clock will roll though, so that sometimes when tons of clock kind of rolls down, the game just stays close, even if a team dominates. But man, I like where it's sitting at 6.5. The 49ers, I mean, I just don't see them losing or winning by. I don't see them losing at all. I don't see them winning by less than a touchdown. Like, I think that's kind of the bottom line. So that one's looking pretty good. Cowboys and Rams. I like the Rams in this one. Should be a defensive game. It's a tough one to pick. If it was in Dallas, I'd probably lean maybe the same score, but towards Dallas. Cowboys have the better defense this year, and this defense will really get, his pass rush will really get after Matthew Stafford, which has been a problem. That offensive line struggled. Stafford's taking some sacks. He has that turnover potential as well, especially against a really good defense like the Cowboys. And the Rams defense shows up big time in this game, though. I think, Cooper Rush has looked great. He's actually looked great. But I think the Rams defense kind of makes Cooper Rush maybe look a little bit like what we thought Cooper Rush could be. Maybe not fully, but kind of come back down to earth a little bit. And that could be that factor. I think maybe offensively, I think Kupp makes that extra play, Stafford Kupp connection there. So I'm going to go Rams 20-17. Would be interesting if the Cowboys had Dak, because, again, that's a big factor for me. In L.A., that defense, with the amount of zone coverage they run to throw off the quarterbacks, and having Aaron Donald, having a pretty good pass rush, Jalen Ramsey, I think they kind of can make Cooper Rush not play as good as he's been playing in these last few weeks. So that's kind of the difference there. 5.5 seems like kind of a lot, though. It's kind of close. I have them winning by 3, but the Cowboys losing by 3, but plus 5.5. It seems like a bit more than I would have projected Vegas to have it at. Eagles and Cardinals, it's only 5. I know some people are thinking maybe the Cardinals can sneak off with this one. I just don't see it. For some reason, the Cardinals are better away. They're not so good at home. They're 0-2. It seemed like a thing in the past as well. And they're home in this game. They don't really play a huge factor for me, but I find that interesting. But I just think it's a bad matchup. The Cardinals' offense has not been good. Even last week, they end up winning by double digits, but the offense struggled a little bit. The Eagles' defense has been fantastic. They're mixing in different coverages in there. They're blitzing now, unlike last year. They're aligning Reddick in different spots. They have a really good traditional pass rush as it is. They stop the run. They create turnovers. I just don't know if the Cardinals get much going here. We could see them miss an extra point or field goals or go for 2 because they're dealing with Prater being injured, banged up, obviously. So that's where I have the 16. And I think the Eagles get going. I know the Cardinals' defense has been solid. Dealt with the Panthers last week. Now you're going to the Eagles. And I think too much of the focus is going to be on Hurts. His running ability. I think the receivers can find ways to get open on kind of a thin cornerback group of Arizona. And Sanders is coming off a breakout game. So I think a lot of it is because teams are starting to focus more and more on the Hurts running game and him getting outside the pocket, throwing on the run. So I just don't love the matchup for the Cardinals. I'm going to take the Eagles 31-16. The Cardinals got to show me something. So they showed me something on defense last week. Again, it is the Panthers. They were really limited on scoring against the Rams as well. Took them a bit to get going. The only time they really showed me something, I guess, the very end of the Panthers game and the very end of the Raiders game. There 2 wins. So now, tougher task against the Eagles. I guess the tough thing for the Eagles is continuing to win because it's so tough not to slip up in this league and keep winning. But I just like the matchup a lot. So I got a big win for the Eagles there. Next, Sunday Night Football. I got a squeaker. We're going to go 27-26 here. Tight game. The matchup says Bengals because the The Bengals have that receiver, and that was the problem for the Ravens last year. The Bengals have that receiver trio, which if you run any man coverage, it seems to be a problem. Joe Burrow had his way with that defense last year, and the Ravens they wanted to gear more. We talked about all offseason. They wanted to gear more towards zone. They added a different coach and some different players to do that. In the beginning of the year, they were doing that, but it's easier to blow zone for corners, safeties to blow zone coverage over than man, because man's pretty straightforward. You kind of can just get burned in man, but just kind of just blow your assignment in zone, and they were doing that, and they were getting beat up, and they're still trying to get used to the adjustments, and they ran a little bit more since then, more man in weeks 3 and 4. Mainly 3, I believe. So where are they going to be at with this game? They're going to have to go with that zone. They're going to have to. They cannot blow assignments here. But the matchup, like last year, kind of says Bengals. But the matchup doesn't always win. In Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. The Ravens are very good at home in prime time. They haven't really been good at home in general recently. The last 5 games, and they lost at home. Pretty wild. But I think they do enough here. I think, the Bengals at the same time, like we said, the matchup, they're so good. They're so explosive against the Ravens or everybody in the past. It doesn't feel the same right now. And I think it'll get there. It should get there. It just really doesn't feel near the same. I mean, the Dolphins ran out of corners. They ran a lot of man coverage last week, and it took the Bengals a bit to get going. The biggest problem with picking the Ravens here, the biggest problem is not even that, the matchup from last year. It's not even that, because I think the Ravens will mix it up, throw them off. I think the Bengals aren't really the same. They could get back to there, but right at this moment. But the biggest problem is what has thrown off the Bengals offense. It's been pass rush, and the Ravens are very limited when it comes to pass rush. So that is the biggest problem with picking the Ravens in this game. But the biggest factor is them being home in prime time on Sunday Night Football. It is whether you like it or not, it is a big factor. The numbers show it, the outcomes of games, the results have shown it. But Lamar's playing very well. He seems to be even better as a passer. So I think they get going. They still, even in those wins the Bengals had last year, it was one game because Lamar didn't play the other one. Lamar ran pretty well. It's just like they're trying to come back. So it's not like they took away the Lamar run or anything either. So I'm going to go Ravens. This should be a really fun one. If it was in Cincinnati, I'd be picking the Bengals. It's just one of those ones. Primetime Sunday Night Football. I'll take the Ravens in an absolute squeaker. We'll see if the Ravens can close out a game. Let's see if the Bengals can kind of get back on track, because they are a 2-game winning streak. So that's sort of getting back on track, but I'm still waiting for them to feel like the last year Bengals still are even close. And then Monday Night Football, I'm pretty confident with the Chiefs here, 34-24. Should get plenty of offense going. Look at what they did last week in prime time against the Buccaneers defense. I don't know what happened against the Colts. So I'm not really counting on that happening again. It is a little bit different type of matchup. The Raiders have a better offense, but not as good of a defense as a team like the Colts or the Buccaneers. So I think the Chiefs will do enough here. They'll get 34. Raiders will be trying to play keep up as well, and they'll get 24 here. So Chiefs I'm going to trust them on both sides of the ball really in this game. A big thing that no one's really talking about, one, the Chiefs are stopping the run very well, but big one is their blocking when it comes to run blocking and pass blocking. Offense. We knew their offense line was pretty solid. It stepped up big time last year, but it's looking really, really good right now. So big factor in a game like this, differences in the offensive line. So I'll go Chiefs 34-24. We could be looking at another shootout primetime game here with that one. So that'll wrap up my Week 5 score predictions. We're back every single Wednesday with this video. I'm really excited about this going forward. Everything kind of you feel a little bit better with the predictions moving forward here, because we start to learn teams like true identities. Enough with the early season shenanigans that always goes down every NFL season. So really excited about all the predictions and the content going forward and just football in general. So if you join us, subscribe to notifications on. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. That is very, very important. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.